Good morning, day and evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome back to witness the episode number 10 of Elysian Fields, the Minecraft survival adventure. Also, equally warm welcome to all new subscribers and viewers of the channel. As you can tell, with this video being exceptionally a regular long video instead of a live stream, this time I have decided to call it an episode instead of a streaming day. Nonetheless, this video is still part of the same survival adventure series, so it has been added under the same playlist on the channel. I will surely still be doing live streams in the future as well, but with the playlist now, therefore including both live stream videos and regular video, I will be calling all of the next parts under the same survival adventure episodes from now on, in order to avoid any confusion. Now, the reason for why this episode is a regular video instead of a live stream is twofold. Firstly, the very theme of this video has everything to do with building a big chute right down to the bedrock level from the surface level of the world. And quite frankly, I think that building this kind of chute is a relatively time-consuming and perhaps even slightly tiresome project in itself to follow, so I figured that it might not be the most interesting kind of content to be witnessing as a live stream. And secondly, so far, apart from the introductory trailer video of the channel, the content of this channel has solely consisted of live streams and shorts videos. And while I do enjoy doing live streams quite much, I have discovered that there are certain limitations with what comes to the possibilities of making search engine optimizations on them compared to previously recorded and edited videos. So this will also be a very interesting kind of experiment for me in itself to find out what kind of traction of traffic we could drive to the channel with this kind of long videos instead of live streams. So I believe I will also be making some more of this kind of videos too in the future. What you have been witnessing here in this video so far has been crafting of some item frames and arranging the storage of the materials a little bit. And since I also ran into a wandering trader selling his emeralds for water buckets again, at this point I also decided to make a couple of trades before getting started with the project. We've got lots of iron after all, so to me it seemed like a worthwhile deal to have some emeralds at this part of the game to be able to trade with. And I also figured that having another crafting table in the middle of the northern temple building would be quite handy. And so at this part I just make some final adjustments and little errands before getting down to business with building the actual chute down to the bedrock from the center of the temple square. Making sure that we got enough pickaxes and a shovel to get us to a good start with the project. Now, some of you might have heard that the quickest and safest way to reach bedrock would be to dig 2 blocks right next to each other straight down. What you witness here instead, as my method, is a little bit different. As you have probably noticed, I like to play things quite safe, so basically my method here involves digging down first in a square-like shape to reach bedrock before making an actual straight down chute of it. The reason for this has to do with the fact that it is a long way down that we have ahead of ourselves, and building this kind of passageway in form of stairs leaves us with an easy access both back to the surface and again back down to the chute while its construction is still unfinished. Of course, we all have our different preferences for how we like to do things, and though this might not ultimately be the quickest way of building this kind of chute, it is definitely my preferred one, as it gives us pretty much space to deal with various kind of surprises, which are actually quite likely to be found on our way down. For example, since we cannot actually know what kind of blocks there will be for us to dig or shovel through, equipping oneself with certain set of tools by making guesses on it might not be a very good idea. If you find yourself running out of appropriate tools somewhere 30 blocks or more down from the surface, digging oneself back up to the surface from a 2-block space would prove to be quite an errand compared to sort of stairs on 4 blocks that you can ascend or descend in circumambulatory manner. Furthermore, with the inventory filling up fairly quickly during this kind of project, I like to make little stops on the surface to relocate part of the inventory and the storage, and also get some sleep on the same run in order to keep the phantoms from bothering us. So before digging further down at this part of the video, I just wanted to take a little moment to gather some more sand to craft sandstone, to craft as building blocks to complete the lava farm. It is surely functional now, but I do like to make it look good too. What you see happening next here in the video is that the night is falling. I am getting some sleep and then getting back to work with digging down the preparatory passageway for the chute. At this point, I am also speeding the video of the gameplay up a little bit, as there won't be any major highlights to find for a while here. I like to rather do this instead of making lots of cuts in the gameplay, as I do think that it all feels a lot more authentic and immersive like this. I think that if we were to instead have a lot of separate scenes cutting randomly from one to the next without prior notice, it would make this whole video a bit too chaotic, in my opinion. I think that when we do it like this instead, it stays calm, predictable, and on top of all else, logical. At this point, I ran into a little bit of dirt, so it was good I had the shovel along. speaking of shovels, currently I'm actually reading a book about them. It's a real scoop. I just had to. At this point I'm slowing the video of the gameplay down a little bit as something interesting and noteworthy happens here. We are running into a cave opening, which means that we need to find ourselves a safe way of passing the cave with the chute construction, and to make sure that no hostile mobs will be able to access our chute from it. This was definitely one of those moments when I thank myself for having chosen this method for constructing of the chute. As I am sure at least some of you are well aware, if you're not careful enough with exploring this kind of cave openings, a lot of things can go very wrong very quickly. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to find a safe enough of an entry point into the opening, but I think it usually works out quite nicely in the end, as long as I take my time to analyze the shape of the cave and different options in the case I need to retreat, for example. Though exploring this kind of caves can be dangerous, oftentimes it can also prove to be pretty rewarding, as there are usually some diamonds, ores, spawners, and other quite useful things to find in these kind of places. Actually, I also found some during the construction of this chute as well. I'm not going to spoil the fun and tell you yet what exactly it was that I found, but keep watching and I promise we'll find out. In any case, it was definitely something that's going to help us and speed things up quite a lot at this phase of our world. So what I am doing here is firstly finding a safe way to descend into the cave, then securing the perimeter in a manner of speaking, and finally adding sufficient amount of light sources so that no hostile mobs can spawn there. After closing the other end of this cave, it actually turned out to be a pretty small one. So as soon as the newly found cave area has been made secure, I basically locate the bottom part of the cave corresponding to the coordinates of the chute being constructed, in order to align or continuing mining with it. At this point I will speed things up a little bit again, let you enjoy some more music, and guide you with captions as to what's going on as we go. That's right. It is a spider spawner. So what I'm doing here is making the area around the spawner safe by surrounding the spawner with torches and thus efficiently keeping it from spawning more spiders for now. Then I kill off the remaining spiders from the near vicinity. We are not going to destroy the spawner, as we can actually put it to much better use by turning it into an early game XP and loot farm later. But that's a topic for another episode. Talking of spiders, did you hear about the spider love triangle? It was a tangled web, man.